Hello, I'm Dr. Lisa Belisle, host of Love Maine Radio, and I'm here today with Jessie Carroll of Whitten Architects, the firm that did a renovated barn in Freeport, which is featured in the upcoming issue of Maine Home and Design. And we're at the Portland Art Gallery today. I'm so glad you were able to join us.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. So I'm interested in the fact that you renovated a barn in Freeport for a previously Yarmouth couple, and I think that it takes a little bit of effort to renovate a barn. Talk to me about that.
Yes, particularly this barn in Freeport. And what we found was a heavy timber structure, which was fantastic. But it was covered with SIP panels, meaning that all the interiors were exposed. So exposed plumbing, exposed electrical, and very unfriendly stair. So there's a lot of finesse that had to go into making the space feel appropriate for living in. So our contractor, Steve Brand of Steve Brand Building and Remodeling, sort of helped finesse these tricky details to hide a lot of the components, and a lot of detailing took place to make that happen.
So this is a romantic notion that many of us have, that we would like to live in a barn, but there are some very practical things that need to happen in order to make that happen.
For sure. One of the major challenges with renovating a barn is getting these big, high-volume spaces that are meant to house, large animals and feed, to address the scale of a human. So we find that typically natural light only comes in from the big, tall gable ends. And so how do you get balanced light into these big volume spaces? So for us, that meant using a few existing skylights, adding a few of our own, using clear story lights to really flood the interiors of the barn. We also had to raise the lower level so that humans could actually see out the windows, which seemed to make a whole lot of sense. And also put in a stair that was easier for an aging client to navigate.
I noticed in the article that Rebecca Falzano wrote for Maine Home and Design that she talked about this being a forever home. What does that mean?
Yeah, so for us that means a forever home is a place where people can age comfortably. So that means open concept living, so people can navigate in wheelchairs if that came to be appropriate. Also bedrooms and major living on that first floor. So in this case, the barn wasn't quite big enough to make that happen, so we added an addition. Pretty minor, 900 square feet addition, but open concept, big volume space, lots of natural light, to really make the client and her husband feel comfortable as a couple living on that first floor.
You've been an architect for how many years now, Jessie?
I've been practicing here in Portland for 3 years. I've been licensed for about that time, but I did used to practice in Boston, so I think I'm hitting roughly 8 years within the architecture industry, and I spent a couple of those years managing construction in Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
And what's your favorite thing?
Dealing with clients and customers. It's really, residential architecture offers an opportunity for empathetic design. And we say you design for a year, you build for a year, and at the end of 2 years, you like to come out of it with some new friends. And so being able to relate to customers is really, for me, the best part of the process.
Well, thank you very much for coming in and talking with us today about the work that you're doing with Whitten Architects. We've been speaking with Jessie Carroll of Whitten Architects. You can read more about the article that we've been discussing in Maine Home Design's upcoming issue. And this is the Portland Art Gallery, and I'm Dr. Lisa Belisle. Thanks for joining us.